No one pulled the trigger by choice. No one selected a target. No one believed a decision had been made. Orders existed, and they were followed. Because of that, people died. Not once and not by accident, but repeatedly. When questions came later, there were no outbursts or protests. The explanation was delivered calmly. Responsibility was described as something that had already been decided elsewhere. In 1945, the war in Europe came to an end. Documents were recovered, camps were opened, and transport records were examined. Courts reopened to understand how the system had functioned. Men were summoned from offices rather than battlefields. One had overseen train schedules, reviewing lists and approving departures. During the war, those trains traveled east and did not return. In court, the routes and numbers were not denied. The task was described as administrative, carried out within an official chain of command. In 1942, in occupied Poland, a reserve police unit received operational instructions. The men were not frontline soldiers, but older reservists, many with families, assigned to support roles. The operation involved surrounding villages, assembling civilians, and carrying out shootings. Before the operation began, participation was expected, though withdrawal was technically possible. A small number stepped aside. Most remained in position, carried out the task, and proceeded to the next assignment without further discussion. After the war, the men returned to civilian life and remained there for years. In the 1960s, German courts reopened investigations. The same individuals now appeared as defendants. The events themselves were not disputed. Instead, the structure was emphasized. Orders had been issued, authority had been defined, and refusal was described as meaningless. Some convictions followed, others did not. Across cases, responsibility continued to be framed as belonging to the command system rather than to individual choice. In March of 1968, American troops entered the village of Mylè. There was no organized resistance. Instructions were issued rapidly and without clarity. Civilians were gathered together. At one moment, a hesitation occurred, followed by a visual cue from a superior. The action continued. In later inquiries, the events were described as the result of command pressure rather than personal intent. The conflict moved on while the village ceased to exist. In 2004, during the Iraq War, photographs emerged from Abu Ghraib prison near Baghdad. The images showed detainees restrained and humiliated, while soldiers appeared relaxed in the background. The scenes suggested routine rather than urgency. When the photographs became public, those involved explained the situation in terms of environment and expectation. The absence of explicit limits was emphasized. Responsibility was once again presented as diffuse, shaped by context rather than individual decision. Not every case occurred during war. In some instances, there was only an office. Work was divided, and decisions were fragmented across roles. One person approved figures, another processed documents, another transmitted information. When harm became visible later, no single point of responsibility emerged. Each action was described as partial, procedural, and disconnected. The system continued to function as outcomes unfolded elsewhere. Across all these places, ordinary life resumed. The individuals involved did not portray themselves as cruel or malicious. They described roles, procedures, and expectations. What remained were the actions and the justifications attached to them. History does not always capture the exact moment when responsibility slipped away, only the results that followed. In some cases, others standing in similar positions chose differently.